You know that feeling when your chest goes completely cold. When the air in the room suddenly feels like glass and you can hear the blood rushing in your ears? That was the exact second Samantha from HR pushed a single sheet of paper across her desk. 60% pay cut. Effective immediately. I sat there staring at the bold number on the paper, waiting for the digits to reorganize themselves into something that made sense. 60%. I did not shout, and I did not beg. I just looked up, forced a calm smile, and told them I would need 24 hours to review the document. I sounded like some corporate machine, completely detached from the fact that my entire life had just been sliced in half. The breakdown happened inside my SUV. I sat in the dark parking garage for 45 minutes, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white, sobbing until the windshield fogged up. How does a company you gave 9 years of your life to decide you are suddenly worth less than half of what they paid you yesterday? Let me introduce myself. My name is Arthur Vance. I am 58 years old, and I am a single father to a 12-year-old boy named Toby. My wife passed away 6 years ago, and since then, Toby has been my entire world. He suffers from severe chronic asthma, which requires a specialized monthly injection that costs $200 out of pocket. Up until that meeting in HR, our health insurance covered it completely. I was the director of client solutions at Caliber Tech, earning $130,000 a year. It was a good salary, one that allowed me to pay our mortgage, keep Toby healthy, and put a little away for his future. But that paper changed everything. The new salary was $52,000. I started at Caliber Tech when we were just a tight-knit team of 20 people working out of a renovated brick warehouse. The founder, Walter Jennings, was a visionary who treated everyone like family. We had the classic startup setup, the pool table, the weekly dinners, the shared belief that we were building something special. I worked 70-hour weeks, missed family dinners, and spent my weekends answering client emergencies because I believed in Walter's vision. I was good at my job. I managed our top 10 accounts, clients I had personally brought in and nurtured. These 10 accounts alone brought in over 70% of Caliber Tech's annual revenue. I did not just manage their systems, I knew their families, their business pressures, and their long-term goals. Then, 12 months ago, Novus Group bought us out. I still remember the company meeting, where Walter stood on a table in the break room, telling us that Novus Group had the resources to scale our product to the next level. He looked tired, and he could not look me in the eye. I found out later, he walked away with $3 million from the acquisition. The rest of us saw our equity packages wiped out, replaced with a 4-year vesting schedule under the new corporate rules. The first few months under Novus Group were tolerable, just new emails and endless training sessions. But then the optimization process started. First, they terminated the junior support staff. Then, middle managers started disappearing. Every week, a generic email about streamlining operations would land in our inboxes, and by the next morning, someone's desk would be cleared out. I kept my head down, taking on the workload of the departed managers. My team of 8 assistants was whittled down to just 2, but the client volume stayed the same. I worked late into the night, answering emails at 3 a.m., while Toby slept in the next room. I had quiet panic attacks in the office restroom, splashing cold water on my face before walking back out to pretend everything was fine. I told myself I was indispensable. I held the keys to our largest clients. Novus Group needed me to keep those accounts happy. I was wrong. The calendar invite from Samantha Cole, the HR director, was titled Simple Touch Base. When I walked into the conference room, she was not alone. Sitting next to her was Daniel Thorne, the corporate optimizer Novus Group had sent to clean up our regional office. Daniel was 42, wore a shiny Rolex he made sure to adjust constantly, and had a set of bright white veneers that made his smile look completely artificial. "Arthur," Daniel said, leaning back in his leather chair, "we have been reviewing the regional operational structure, and we feel there is a pressing need to realign your compensation package with current market standards." Samantha then slid the paper toward me. The new salary was printed right there. $52,000. "This adjustment reflects the changing landscape of your role," Daniel continued, his voice smooth and empty. "We are moving the primary client management database operations to our corporate headquarters. Your day-to-day work will transition into a regional support framework. I knew exactly what that corporate jargon meant. They were taking my clients, stripping away my authority, and cutting my pay by 60%, but they still expected me to run the day-to-day operations and hand over 9 years of client relationships to their corporate team. We will need your signed acceptance by tomorrow afternoon, Samantha added, looking down at her tablet. If you feel this new framework does not align with your professional goals, we understand. However, we will have to begin the search for a new candidate who fits our updated structure immediately. It was not a request. It was an eviction notice. They knew about Toby's medical expenses. They knew I was 58, an age where finding a comparable director role in tech is incredibly difficult. They expected me to bow my head, sign the paper, and accept the crumbs because they thought I had no other choice. I will need 24 hours to review the terms and consult my family, I said. My voice did not shake. Daniel nodded, checking his watch. That is fair, Arthur. Just make sure we have your decision by 4 p.m. tomorrow. I stood up, walked back to my desk, packed my laptop into my briefcase, and walked out of the building. I do not remember the drive home. I just remember the cold steering wheel under my hands and the terrifying realization that I was about to lose everything I had built for my son. The silence of my house was heavy when I got home. I paid the babysitter, checked on Toby, who was fast asleep with his inhaler sitting on his nightstand, and sat down at the kitchen table. My mind was spinning. 58 years old, single dad mortgage, and a 60% pay cut. I was staring at the ceiling when my phone buzzed on the counter. It was Audrey Campbell, a senior account manager, who had walked out of Caliber Tech 6 months ago when the Novus acquisition first started turning sour. Hey, stranger, Audrey said when I answered. I have been trying to reach you all week. Did you see my messages on LinkedIn? I told her I had been too busy managing clients and putting out corporate fires to check social media. Listen, Audrey said, her voice dropping to a serious tone. I am at Zenith Systems now. You know we are Novus Group's main competitor in this region. My CEO, Albert Mercer, has been asking about you for months. We need someone to lead our strategic partnerships. Are you open to a conversation? I looked out the kitchen window at our backyard. I thought about Daniel Thorne, his artificial smile, and his expensive watch. I thought about how they had reduced my life to a spreadsheet line. Actually, Audrey, I said, tonight might be the perfect time for that conversation. What happened? She asked. They just handed me a 60% salary reduction, I said. They want me to train my replacements and transition my accounts to corporate, then take a regional support role. Audrey gasped. Those corporate vultures, give me 10 minutes. I am texting Albert right now. Albert Mercer was the founder and CEO of Zenith Systems, a rapidly growing enterprise software company that had been chipping away at Caliber Tech's market share for the past 3 years. Exactly 15 minutes later, my phone rang again. The caller ID showed an unfamiliar local number. Arthur, this is Albert Mercer, a deep, confident voice said. Audrey told me about the situation. We need to meet. Can you make it to the Westside Cafe tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m.? Yes, I can do 7:30, I replied. Good. Let us meet before you have to give Novus your answer. I think we can help each other. That night, I did not sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the shadows on the wall, wondering if I was being rash. I had been loyal to Caliber Tech for 9 years. I had helped build it from a dusty warehouse into a multi-million-dollar player. But Caliber Tech was gone, swallowed by Novus Group. Novus Group did not care about loyalty. They cared about margins. By 6:30 a.m., I was up. I dressed in my best charcoal suit, the one I wore to close major enterprise accounts. I did my hair, shaved carefully, and put on my watch. It was my armor. I woke Toby, made him breakfast, and drove him to school. As he got out of the car, he looked at me with his quiet, observant eyes. You look fancy today, Dad, Toby said. Are you winning another award? Something like that, buddy, I said, smiling and ruffling his hair. I will see you at 3 p.m. The Westside Cafe was relatively empty at 7:30 a.m. Albert Mercer was easy to spot. He was in his early 60s with silver hair, dressed in a sharp blazer, sitting at a corner table with Audrey. He stood up and shook my hand firmly when I walked over. Arthur Vance, Albert said. I have heard your name from dozens of clients we tried and failed to win over from Caliber Tech. It is a pleasure to finally meet you. I sat down, ordered a black coffee, and got straight to the point. I explained the acquisition, the culture shift, the layoffs, and finally the meeting with Daniel and Samantha. I told them Novus wanted to cut my salary to $52,000 while keeping my workload. Albert listened, nodding slowly, his expression serious. When I finished, he looked at Audrey, then back at me. Arthur, we have tried to recruit you 3 times over the last 2 years, Albert said. Each time, your loyalty to Caliber Tech stood in the way. But Novus does not deserve that loyalty. He slid a leather folder across the table. I opened it. Inside was a formal offer letter from Zenith Systems, Director of Strategic Partnerships. Base salary $165,000, a 25% annual performance bonus, full medical benefits that cover Toby's specialty treatments from day one, and a signing bonus of $20,000 if I signed within 48 hours. I stared at the numbers. It was $35. $1,000 more than my original salary at Caliber Tech, and more than 3 times what Novus Group was offering me. Albert, I said, quietening my voice, this is a very generous offer. Why this much? Because you are the competitive advantage we have been missing, Albert said. We have run the numbers. In the last 4 years, we lost 8 major enterprise contracts to Caliber Tech. All 8 of those accounts were managed by you. Our research shows that your client retention rate is 94%, while the industry average is 71%. 3 different CTOs have told me directly that the only reason they did not switch to Zenith was because of Arthur Vance. He leaned forward, his eyes locking onto mine. You are not just an account director, Arthur. You are the relationship. Novus Group is run by financial analysts who look at spreadsheets but do not understand human trust. They think they can replace you with a cheaper resource overseas. Audrey spoke up. It is true, Arthur. My sources inside Novus confirm they plan to outsource all regional client support to their offshore centers within 8 months. They are using these pay cuts to force legacy directors like you to quit so they do not have to pay severance. My chest tightened. They were not just cutting my salary. They were planning to throw me out in 8 months anyway, after I had trained my own offshore replacements. I took a slow sip of my coffee. The corporate trap was clear. If I accepted their $52,000 offer, I would spend the next 8 months handing over my 9 years of work to a team across the world, only to be laid off with nothing. I need to pick up Toby from school at 3 p.m., I said to Albert. But I have some free time now. I would like to see your office and meet your leadership team before I give Novus Group my final answer. Albert smiled, standing up. That is exactly what I wanted to hear. Let us go. I spent 2 hours walking through the Zenith Systems headquarters. The energy there was completely different from the dying, tense atmosphere at Novus Group. People were smiling, collaborating, and looking forward to the future. Before I left, I sat down in a conference room with Albert Mercer and Zenith's chief legal counsel, a sharp, graying attorney named Harvey Bennett. I handed Harvey a copy of my original Caliber Tech employment agreement, which I had retrieved from my personal home files, along with the official registration documents for U.S. Patent 9,845,321. Let us look at the contract first, Harvey said, putting on his reading glasses. He flipped through the pages, his finger tracking down the lines. Ah, right here. Section 9, paragraph 4. He read it aloud. In the event that the employee's base compensation is reduced by more than 15% without their express written consent, all restrictive covenants, including non-compete and non-solicitation of clients, shall be rendered null and void. Harvey chuckled. This is a legacy clause. Caliber Tech probably added this years ago to reassure senior partners when the company was bootstrapping. Yes, I said. We added it 7 years ago after our lead developer, Trey Miller, left. We wanted to protect ourselves, but Walter Jennings also wanted to show us that he would never try to trap us by cutting our pay. Well, Novus Group's HR team was sloppy, Harvey said. When they acquired Caliber Tech, they executed an asset purchase. They took the existing employee agreements as they were, planning to roll out new corporate contracts next quarter. By trying to cut your salary by 60% today, they are legally triggering this clause. The moment they implement that pay cut, Your non-compete is gone. You are free to walk across the street to Zenith, and you are free to talk to any client you want. What about the notice period? I asked. Daniel Thorne claimed I have to give 2 weeks' notice as a director. Harvey pointed to Section 11. Your contract states that the required notice period for termination by the employee is exactly equal to the severance period the company is obligated to provide. Since Caliber Tech never established a formal severance policy, their default obligation to you is 0. Under California law and this contract, you can resign effective immediately. That was the first shield. Now, I wanted to show him my sword. I pushed the patent registry document for CoreSync toward him. Tell me about this software, Harvey said. 6 years ago, I realized our client managers were wasting thousands of hours manually syncing database updates between different customer CRM platforms. On my own time, using my own personal servers and coding at night, I built a middleware application called CoreSync. It automated the entire database sync process, making it seamless. I patented it under my own name. When Caliber Tech grew, I granted them a non-exclusive, non-transferable personal license to use CoreSync. Harvey sat up straight, his interest clearly piqued. Did the license agreement include a change of control clause? I opened the folder and showed him the licensing contract. Section 4, Clause B. The license granted herein is personal to Caliber Tech and shall not be assigned, transferred, or sublicensed to any third party, parent company, or successor in interest without the express written consent of the licensor. Harvey stared at the clause, then looked up at me, a massive grin spreading across his face. Arthur, this is beautiful. Novus Group acquired Caliber Tech through an asset purchase, not a stock purchase. In an asset purchase, contracts and licenses must be explicitly assigned, but this license is legally unassignable without your signature. So Novus Group does not own it, I asked. Not only do they not own it, Harvey said, they have been using it illegally for the last 12 months. Since the acquisition, Novus Group has integrated CoreSync into their entire enterprise client portal. It is the engine that keeps Summit Enterprises and Ridgeline Systems connected to their databases. If we send them a cease and desist letter terminating the license, they will have to shut down CoreSync immediately. If they do not, they are in active violation of federal patent law under 35 U.S.C. 271. What are the penalties? I asked. Willful patent infringement, Harvey said. If they continue to use it after receiving our notice, we can sue for triple damages and all legal fees. Their entire client portal will crash. They will not be able to sync a single byte of customer data for Summit or Ridgeline. I felt a sudden rush of warmth. The cold weight that had been sitting in my chest since yesterday afternoon evaporated. They thought they had backed me into a corner. They thought a 58-year-old single father was easy prey, someone they could starve out and replace with cheap offshore labor. They had no idea they had just handed me the keys to their own destruction. We need to draft 2 documents, Arthur, Albert Mercer said, leaning forward. First, your formal resignation letter, citing their 60% pay cut as the trigger for Section 9, Paragraph 4, rendering your non-compete void. Second, a formal patent infringement notice from our legal team, demanding they cease and desist all use of CoreSync within 24 hours. I will have them ready by 2 p.m., Harvey said. You have your meeting with them at 3:30 p.m.? Yes, I said. Then go pick up your son, Arthur, Albert said, shaking my hand. Let us handle the legal paperwork. When you walk into that conference room this afternoon, you will not be a victim. You will be the one holding all the cards. I walked out of the Zenith building and drove to Toby's school. I stood by the gates, watching him run out with his backpack bouncing, laughing with his friends. He looked so happy, so free of the stress that had been choking me for months. When he saw me, his face lit up. Dad, you are actually here, he said, running up to hug me. I held him tight. I told you I would be, buddy. Let us go get some lunch. We have a big day ahead of us. As I watched him eat his burger, I knew what I had to do. I was not just fighting for my career. I was fighting for Toby's health, our home, and my dignity. Novus Group thought they could treat us like disposable parts. They were about to learn that some parts are far too expensive to break. And at exactly 3:30 p.m., I walked back into the Caliber Tech regional office. The office was quiet, but I could feel the eyes of my remaining team members on me as I walked toward the main conference room. I was holding a folder containing the resignation letter and the legal notice prepared by Harvey Bennett. Daniel Thorne was already sitting at the conference table, typing on his laptop. Samantha Cole sat next to him, holding my personnel file. Daniel did not look up immediately when I entered. He wanted to make me wait, a classic power play. When he finally closed his laptop, he offered his synthetic bright white smile. "Arthur," Daniel said, "glad you could make it. I trust you have reviewed the realignment package and are ready to sign the new agreement?" I sat down, placed my folder flat on the table, and looked him directly in the eye. "I have a few operational questions first, Daniel," I said. Daniel sighed, adjusting his Rolex. "Arthur, we really do not have time for a lengthy discussion. As we explained yesterday, the decision has been made. We need a simple yes or no." I ignored his interruption. "I manage our 10 largest accounts. I would like to know who will be overseeing the Summit Enterprises database integration next month, and who will be handling the Ridgeline Systems contract renewal in June." "Those are corporate decisions, Arthur," Daniel said, his voice tightening. "You do not need to concern yourself with transition logistics. Once you sign the new agreement, we will assign support roles as we see fit." "And what about the rumors that Novus Group is planning to outsource all regional client services to an offshore center in India within 8 months?" I asked. Samantha suddenly gasped, looking up from her files. Daniel froze. The artificial smile vanished, replaced by a cold, hard stare. "Where did you hear that?" Daniel demanded. "That is confidential proprietary information." "So it is true," I said. "You wanted me to accept a 60% salary cut today, spend the next 8 months training my offshore replacements to handle my accounts, and then get laid off without a single dollar of severance. This meeting is about your current compensation package, not hypothetical corporate planning," Daniel snapped. "Now, do you accept the new terms or not?" I leaned forward. "I decline the offer, Daniel, and I resign, effective immediately." Daniel let out a sharp, mocking laugh. "You cannot just resign effective immediately, Arthur. Company policy for director-level employees requires a minimum of 2 weeks' notice. If you walk out today, we will sue you for breach of contract and freeze your remaining compensation." I opened my folder and pulled out the copy of my contract. I pointed to Section 11. "You should have read my original Caliber Tech agreement," I said. "It states that my notice period is exactly equal to the severance period you are obligated to pay me. Since Novus Group has no severance policy for legacy Caliber employees, my notice requirement is exactly 0 days." Daniel's jaw clenched. He looked at Samantha, who was frantically scrolling through a digital copy of the employee handbook on her tablet. "Furthermore," I continued, "under Section 9, Paragraph 4, since Novus Group has proposed a salary cut exceeding 15% without my consent, all restrictive covenants in this agreement, including my non-compete and non-solicitation clauses, are officially null and void." Daniel slammed his hand on the table. "You think you are clever, Arthur. We are Novus Group. We have a corporate legal team with over 100 attorneys. If you think you can just walk out of here and join Zenith Systems or try to steal our clients, we will tie you up in litigation for the next 5 years. We will bury you. We will make sure you spend every dollar of your savings on legal fees before you ever set foot in another tech office." He thought he had won. He thought the threat of corporate legal power would make a 58-year-old father cave. I smiled, pulled the second document from my folder, and slid it across the table. "This is a formal cease and desist notice from Zenith Systems' legal department," I said. Daniel frowned, picking up the document. "What is this garbage?" 6 years ago, I patented the database syncing software called CoreSync under my own name," I explained. "It is U.S. Patent 9,845,321. I granted Caliber Tech a personal non-transferable license to use it. Under the terms of that license, it cannot be assigned to any successor company without my express written consent." Daniel's eyes darted across the legal notice. "Novus Group acquired Caliber Tech through an asset purchase," I said. "You did not buy the stock, you bought the assets. But you cannot legally buy a non-transferable license without the inventor's signature. I never signed. You have been using CoreSync illegally for 12 months. I leaned back in my chair. As of 4 p.m. today, I am officially terminating Caliber Tech's license to use CoreSync. If Novus Group continues to run CoreSync after today, you are in active violation of federal patent law under 35 U.S. C-71. Daniel's face turned a deep, angry red. You cannot shut down our client database portal. That portal runs our entire customer integration system. Then I suggest you write your own syncing software tonight, I said. Because if CoreSync is still running on your servers tomorrow morning, Zenith's legal team will file a patent infringement lawsuit in federal court. We will seek triple damages for willful infringement. And I am sure Summit Enterprises and Ridgeline Systems will be very interested to know why their client portals are offline, because Novus Group forgot to check their patent licenses. Samantha looked at Daniel, her face completely pale. Daniel, she whispered, is this real? Daniel did not answer. He was staring at the cease and desist letter, his hands shaking slightly. He realized the trap had sprung, and he was the one caught in it. I stood up, picked up my briefcase, and looked at them one last time. My resignation is effective immediately, I said. I will be at my desk packing my personal items. I expect my final paycheck to be deposited by tomorrow morning. I turned and walked out of the conference room, leaving the corporate optimizer and the HR director sitting in silence. For 9 years, I had worked under the radar, letting other people take credit, keeping my head down. But as I walked back into the office to pack my cardboard box, I realized that the corporate giants are not invincible. They are just big, and sometimes they are too big to see the stone that is about to bring them down. I packed my desk quickly. The family photographs, my favorite coffee mug, and Toby's spare emergency inhaler all fit into a single cardboard box. My remaining team members, Maria and Devin, stood by my cubicle with worried faces. Is it true, Arthur? Maria asked. Are you really leaving? I nodded, giving them a reassuring smile. Check your personal email accounts in an hour, I whispered. As I carried my box toward the elevator, a security guard followed close behind. It was standard corporate procedure for departing executives, but after 9 years of dedication, it felt like a slap in the face. I did not let them see me sweat. I walked out of the lobby with my head held high. The moment I got into my SUV, I made 3 calls. First, I called Albert Mercer. I am out, I told him. Resignation delivered, cease and desist served. Our legal team is ready, Albert replied. Welcome to Zenith, Arthur. Second, I called Walter Jennings, the retired founder of Caliber Tech. He was at his home in Florida. When I told him how Novus Group had tried to cut my salary by 60% and outsource my team, he was furious. That is not how we built Caliber, Walter said, his voice booming. I will call Gerald Novus myself. He is the CEO of the parent company, and we went to school together. I will make sure he knows they are violating the spirit of our acquisition agreement. Third, I called Brenda Stone, the CTO of Summit Enterprises. Brenda, it is Arthur Vance. I wanted to let you know I have resigned from Caliber Tech and will be starting as Director of Strategic Partnerships at Zenith Systems on Monday. What? Brenda said, sounding shocked. Arthur, you are the only reason we stay with Caliber. We have a major database integration scheduled for next month. Who is handling it? I cannot answer that, Brenda. Novus Group is restructuring the department and shifting database operations. There was a long pause on the line. I see, Brenda said. Send me your new contact details at Zenith. We need to talk. By the time I picked Toby up from school, my phone was buzzing constantly. I had 12 missed calls and 18 text messages, including one from Roger Davis at Ridgeline Systems, asking if the rumors of my departure were true. When Toby climbed into the front seat, he looked at me and then at the cardboard box in the back. Are you okay, Dad? He asked. I am better than okay, Toby, I said. I left my old job today. I got a new one at Zenith. The pay is better, the insurance covers your medicine completely, and I will be home in time for dinner every single night. Toby grinned. Does that mean you can come to my science fair next week? I will be in the front row, I promised. That night, as I was cooking dinner, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number with a New York area code. I answered it. Arthur Vance? A commanding voice asked. Yes, this is Arthur. This is Gerald Novus, CEO of Novus Group. I understand we have a major situation in our regional office. My heart hammered, but I kept my voice steady. Yes, Mr. Novus, I suppose you do. Walter Jennings called me, Gerald said. He was very clear about how you were treated. I have also received direct calls from the CTOs of Summit Enterprises and Ridgeline Systems. They are both threatening to cancel their contracts, which represent over $20,000, in annual revenue. They say they will not work with us if you are not managing their accounts. I remained silent, letting the silence put pressure on him. Furthermore, Gerald continued, our IT director tells me they had to shut down our database syncing portal this afternoon to avoid a patent infringement claim regarding CoreSync. Our entire system is offline, and our clients cannot access their data. Yes, I said. CoreSync is my patented technology. The license was personal to Caliber Tech and did not transfer during your asset purchase. Arthur, what will it take to resolve this? Gerald asked. We are prepared to match Zenith's salary offer, pay you a $30,000 retention bonus, and restore your full authority over the division. I let out a soft laugh. So, I am worth $165,000 when it costs you $20,000 to lose me, but I was only worth $52. Zeroed yesterday when you thought I had no choice. Do you hear yourself, Mr. Novus? Business is business, Arthur, Gerald said. I am trying to make this right. No, thank you, I said. I have signed my agreement with Zenith. It is not about the money anymore. It is about respect. Your managers, Daniel Thorne and Samantha Cole, tried to devalue my work and threat me like trash. I will not work for a company that only recognizes my value when they are bleeding cash. There was a long silence. What about the patent? Gerald asked. Zenith Systems will negotiate a fair licensing agreement with you for CoreSync, I said, but you will pay for it. And I expect a written confirmation by tomorrow morning that Novus Group will not pursue any frivolous litigation regarding my departure. You will have it, Gerald said quietly. I will also be visiting that regional office personally next week. 3 days later, I walked into Zenith Systems as their new director. My new office had actual windows overlooking the city. By the end of my first week, Maria and Devin had resigned from Novus and joined my team at Zenith. Within 2 weeks, Daniel Thorne and Samantha Cole were quietly dismissed from Novus Group, replaced by executives who actually understood how to treat people. But it was too late for Novus. Over the next 6 months, Summit Enterprises, Ridgeline Systems, and 3 other major clients officially moved their business to Zenith. They did not move because I poached them. They moved because they valued the trust, reliability, and relationships we had built over 9 years. It has been 3 years since that meeting in HR. I am now the Executive Vice President of Client Success at Zenith Systems. I manage a team of 22 people. Toby is 15 now, healthy, and doing great in school. I have not missed a single science fair, soccer game, or parent-teacher meeting. Last month, I ran into Walter Jennings at a software conference. He gave me a big hug and told me how proud he was of the move I made. I should have protected you all better when Novus bought us, Walter said. I thought they would keep their promises. It is business, Walter, I said, smiling. Nothing personal. But as I walked back to my team, I knew that was a lie. It is always personal. Our careers, our families, our dignity, and our worth are the most personal things we have. Pretending they are just numbers on a balance sheet is how companies try to control us. The real revenge was not seeing Daniel Thorne get fired. It was not seeing Novus Group lose millions of dollars. The real revenge was realizing my own value, standing up and walking away to build a better life for my son and myself. Sometimes, all it takes is one smart move to change everything.